All right, good evening, good evening. We are going to start our webinar very shortly, waiting for Marcus to jump on. And once he jumps on, we'll get started.
What up, Michael?
Oh man, I can't call it. Just getting all this together. So as we're waiting for Marcus, real quick, just some of the rules. We'll have a quick conversation with Mr. Simeon, and we'll ask him some questions at the end. You guys are on mute. We'll be on mute, but you'll be able to use your chat function up top on the navigation bar. Any question when we get to the Q&A, you can type it in. We'll read those questions off to Marcus, and he can address those questions one by one. So appreciate it, and it should be pretty fun. So give us about a couple seconds, and we'll jump back on.
Here come Bonnie. No, I just ate the beans, remember? These are mine. That says everything.
All right, we'll be starting in 10 minutes. Just got off the phone with Marcus. He's getting his hair chopped, getting the haircut. So he's finishing up. We're a little late here. So
All right,
what we'll
cool.
be talking about, you guys, is making good decisions. So, Walls, what do you think about that, man? As we're waiting for Marcus to get online, what would be the biggest thing as you go back in your life and understand what our kids are going through in regards to the legacy plan, talking about identity and purpose and values and setting goals based on the vision that they see for themselves. How do you see good decision making fall into how you actually come across and identify yourself in this world, or at least your purpose? How does that work and help you make good decisions?
Well, when my boy Ron Springs was alive, he said something that, and he had his own way of phrasing it. But every mentor will tell you this: your rep is all you got. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, based on what you want your reputation to be, you want your reputation to be something that shows that people can trust you.
Right.
If someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, man, I heard about you," then you want to make sure that what they heard was something that you could say that you were proud to be a part of, or to be
Right.
thought of in that manner. So
Right.
to me, that's how you get to having a decent reputation,
Mm-hmm.
is by making good decisions and to be known for making good decisions. I think that's the main thing, to be known for making good decisions. So when someone comes to you, then they know they can rely on you. And to
Right.
me, that's extremely important, to be relied upon, because
Right.
if you're not competent, if no one sees you as being competent, they have no trust in you. Therefore, there's no networking for you.
Right, right. No, I definitely agree with that. I think one of the things that I think about in making good decisions is that you're going to make some bad decisions in the process of making good decisions, and I think it's the lessons that you learn as you're going through the process of making some of these bad decisions that you may make. But what did you learn from that that's going to carry over so you can start to stack good decision after good decision? Um, what would you say on that?
I always, you learn in life, and especially in sports,
Right,
try not to make the same mistake twice. you
right,
know,
right,
that's just the golden rule. If you keep making that same mistake, then they talk about your mental competency, and it comes into question. So yeah, you that's where that comes from. You want to make sure that you learn from your mistakes, and therefore someone could say, okay, this guy knows how to improve himself. And that's what
right.
you want, someone that can look at you and say, you're trying to develop. And that's what we're all about.
Mhm.
We want to develop until, in some way, we want to develop until the day we die.
That's absolutely right. One of the things we talk about the legacy plan, which we'll ask Marcus about when he gets on, is you talk about, your purpose and understanding why you're here. What's your why, right? And understand your value systems, being committed, having fortitude and perseverance, having honesty, like you want to be an honest person, self-love and having grace for yourself. Like I feel like those value systems have a direct correlation, right, to how you make decisions, right? And so you want to make decisions that are correlated, that connect to your why, to connect to your purpose, connect to your value system, right? You see yourself out here being a champion like a Marcus Simeon. You have to make decisions in accordance to how you see yourself. The flip side works as well. That you don't see yourself as a winner, you start to make poor decisions as well. You don't value certain things. You start to make those decisions the opposite way. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's true, and you can see it in your body language. you
Yeah,
know, it's a shame, but there's something to be said for optics.
yeah,
Sometimes you can read a person and see what kind of space they're in. So at all times, and I think I'm blessed with a decent disposition to where, I'm not going to try and be put off by anyone. I understand that there's a story in everyone's life. There's a struggle for everyone that you meet, a struggle that was overcome. And so that's how I try and look at everyone. I hope they look at me the same way, understanding
mhm,
that whatever you see here, I'm still trying to get better. And I can't judge anyone and look at them and say, what they've overcome or not tried to overcome. I'm going to assume that whatever they're trying to do, they're trying to be the best at who they are, and
Right.
that way, I'm not going into any situation with the cloud over my head, or necessarily with a ill feeling towards anyone.
Right. And when I was younger, and some of our students' age back in the day, sometimes, I was scared to make a decision because I was scared to mess up, right? So I would just kind of be like, I don't want to go left, I want to go right. I kind of just paralyzed and kind of stuck in the middle. What does that do or not do for your development? For a kid that's really trying to find themselves and really trying to be the best version of themselves. How do you get a kid out of the middle?
Yeah. That's pretty good question. I know that's kind of how I approach sports, especially playing defensive back. You
Right,
know,
right,
it's either hook or crook. You're gonna make it or you're gonna get made. So, uh, I became accustomed to living with that creed.
right.
I can't sit back and be afraid, no matter how good this guy is on the other side of me. I have to give him all I got. I have to make sure that, if nothing else, there's a respect there from his side towards me, and that means that he understands I'm going to be just as aggressive as he is. And even if
Hmm.
you take that off the field, you're talking about trying to communicate with someone. If you're talking about trying to uh, make someone, not make, but uh, um, somehow affect what they think about what you're trying to get done. You want to make sure that they feel good about it, and they're not going to feel good about it unless you feel good about it. They
Right,
have to see that aggressiveness in you, as we talked about earlier today. They have to see that dog in you, meaning they have to see that drive in you, to see that you're going for it, and you're not just sitting back, coming to someone or trying to show someone an example without showing that you believe in that example, without showing that do anything to make sure that example comes into fruition.
oh, I love that. I love that. I think we got Marcus here. I'm trying to get him on to making him a presenter here. Hey, here we go. Here we go.
Yeah.
Marcus,
Sorry about that, fellas.
you're looking clean, brother. Looking
Yeah,
clean.
they had me waiting in there. They had me waiting. Sorry.
That's all right. We know you gotta get the barbershop done, on
Yeah.
the schedule. Gotta get it nice. So
Good to see you
appreciate you
back.
making it, man. Spending some time with us. I know you're out there in Arizona doing your thing and you're ready for another season as the world champion Texas Rangers doing this thing.
World
World
champions,
champion. Let's say
baby.
it one more time,
World
right? World
champions, baby.
champion
That's what I'm
That
Texas
sounds
talking about.
good.
Rangers.
That sounds really good. No, Arizona's been good. I think for us now we're trying to repeat. Everybody's talking about us now.
Right,
Nobody was talking about us last year.
right,
We kind of moved on. I think all the fans are excited and proud of what we did last year. But as a team, you got to move on because
right.
everybody's out to get it now.
Absolutely, absolutely right, man. And I know there's some just making a disclaimer out here. I know there's some Houston Astro fans in the audience. I ain't gonna say who you are. I'm not gonna put you on blast, Coach
That's
Starks.
okay. Hey, you got to respect 7 straight ALCS
You
appearances.
gotta respect it.
Respect it. You have to.
Absolutely, absolutely. But man, what I wanted to talk about real quick while I got you is making good decisions. We got a lot of kids online, and we're in the process of going through what we call the legacy plan with Ethos, understanding your identity, your purpose in life, your why, your value systems, setting a vision, right? Seeing yourself do something, and then setting the goals that correlate to that vision. And from all those, we can make great decisions in life, right? Not to say we're not going to mess up, but more chances than not, right, we'll make better decisions as we grow into who we're supposed to be. Um, so looking back at, I've known you since you're a child, obviously our backdrop I played ball with his dad, Damian Simeon, back at UC Berkeley. And I had a chance to watch this young man grow up and be really, really impressed with just not so much being the baseball player that he is, but just the man and husband that he turned out to be. So I'm really more amazed by that than what I see on the baseball diamond. I think all those things carry over based on decisions that he made off the diamond versus on the diamond. So kind of catches up as a child growing up in the Bay Area, being faced with some ideas or some tough challenges in regards to, peer pressure and being locked into what your goals were. So go back a little bit in your mind and say, how did you even create your vision of being a student athlete and getting to the professional level?
No, I mean, I think about my parents and the things they told me as a young man. I remember I lived in my mom's house during the week. I'd go to my dad's on the weekend. So we would drive from San Francisco back to the East Bay. It's about a 30 to 45-minute drive. And we'd have these talks. My dad talks, pretty much every other weekend where it's like, listen, if you want to do the things you say you want to do, you say you want to be a Major League Baseball player and play sports your whole life. These are some habits you're gonna have to form here. You're gonna have to say no to some things that your friends might want to do on the weekends. They want to do extracurriculars. After school, that might not be for you, and you need to stick with sports. Get your homework done, and handle your business with good habits and good discipline. Do the things you don't feel like doing. In other words, be lazy. Sometimes we fall into these traps where we don't feel like doing what we want, what we have to do, and all of a sudden, procrastinating. Where I'm at now in life, I have to be efficient with my time. We have 4 children, and I'm trying to play Major League Baseball here, where it's super competitive.
Right.
So time management, efficiency, and good habits have kept me going, every single day.
I love that, man. Great habits, right? Great habits can go in a positive direction, but also it can be negative habits, right? Where one of the things I've seen when things get so tough, people quit. And I always say, like, that becomes a habit too, right? When things get tough, I quit versus fight through it, right? Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, sometimes it takes struggle just to get out of something. I think all the failures I've been throughout my life, and how how I bounced back from them is what made me successful. Not me failing at something, whether it's I didn't do as well on a test in school, or a paper I wrote, or I didn't have a good game, or whatever it is. Me bouncing back and doing well after those things that turned me into who I am today. And who I am today is still a man who fails, all the time. And I understand it now. I understand that that's part of the process of life. A lot of things are trial and error, but if you don't try them and you just quit, like Mike just said, you'll never know how good you can be at anything.
Right. No, I love that, man. One of the things I heard you say earlier is being able to have the courage to say no. So locking into who you are and knowing who you are, it gives you the element, or at least the power to say, nah, I know where I'm going to go. So I have the courage to tell you no. And in telling you no, my grandma used to always tell me, you're saying yes to you. You're saying that I love myself enough to tell you no.
No doubt. I think that there's a certain discipline that comes with it. And sometimes when you're young, and I'm watching my kids go through this, they're 7, 5, their brains are still developing.
Right.
Very young, and they want to do whatever their friends are doing. That's their friends. That's the most important thing to them. That's what my buddy's doing at recess, or that's what he does. He's acting up, and they copy. It's just kind of natural for a lot of young people to do that. Now, as you get older, you start to realize, okay, he's not on the same path, or she's not on the same path as me. Um, and that's not how I want to go about this. And it takes you stepping out of what your friends may be doing that's different than you, to realize, okay, I need to lock it in here. And
Right.
lock it in doesn't mean don't have fun. It's just
Right.
locking it in on the priorities you need to get done first.
Yeah, your dad used to get on me, man. He used to say one of the things he kind of admired, but during that time he laughed at me because I was the only one in the dorms that was study, right? Your dad was out there doing this thing, having a good time. And he said, "Mike, you come to the party?" Like, man, I gotta study. And he used to always think back to that and say, man, this dude always understood exactly what he wanted to do and how he wanted to get there. Not to say that dad never studied, but it's like in my mind, I was locked into what I wanted long term. And it was really hard. Obviously, Mark is going to UC Berkeley and understanding how it's tough to be a student athlete at Berkeley, right? Time management and all those great things. But to your point, seeing yourself in that vision, accomplishing those goals, and then, like you said, being very disciplined gives you a chance, at least, of having those things come true. Walter, jump in, man. What are you thinking?
First of all, hey man, just want to say how much I admired your game even when you was in Toronto, bro. I was looking at you then, and I know you had gotten a major award. I think you got like MVP of the league. You were voted by some aspect of the I think of the executives of the Major League Baseball. I think had voted you MVP. And then when we got you after that, I'm like, man, that's the kind of quality brother we need on the Texas Rangers. And back in the day when I played with the Cowboys for a while, and we thought that we were really over scrutinized even back then. When I'm talking about in the 1980s. Uh, and the other teams in the NFL weren't scrutinized as much just because of that whole cowboy thing. Now you've got every team out there being over scrutinized by not just the media but also by the internet. By social media. How are you getting by, continuing to be consistent, even though you've got Joe Blow out here trying to tell you be a leadoff hitter and scrutinizing, your strategy every time you come up to bat when you don't even know who these people are, or even if they're even real people, or if they've even played sports before. I could look at most of the people in my eye back then, back in the 80s, because those questions were face to face. Now you're being scrutinized from people all over the continent. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, the media is definitely something that I deal with every single day, right? They come in our clubhouse, and our clubhouse is our locker room. They come in, they have about an hour to, stand around, ask anybody questions who, they want to talk to, or they have an article in their mind that they want to write. And they ask, hey, I want to go up to Marcus and ask him questions and try and get him to answer the way I think the fans want to hear it.
The leading question. It's the leading question. Yeah.
Yeah. So these people in the media form the fans' opinion about us players.
Mm.
And as players, a lot of us just want to play the game, right? But now you're starting to see players have their own podcast or have their own show and give their own opinion without having this outside media person say it their way. We
Right.
all have our own voice now. For me personally, I'm not on social media for two reasons. One reason, I don't like to read the negativity that people write about me or say about me. The other reason is I like my privacy.
Hmm.
Do I lose out on certain benefits that social media may bring, to me, whether it's, hey, I can get some free stuff from whoever by
Right.
posting, or, but it's not worth it. My family's privacy is worth more to me, and me not reading what the media writes about me, it helps me focus on the game, because all I want to do is do well in the game. If I'm worried about what somebody else is saying bad about me, that takes me off my game a little bit. but yeah, it's all about blocking out the noise, especially as we got to the World Series where there's a whole lot more media outlets in, but that's something as a young player you don't know right away, and as you get older you kind of figure it out.
No, that's a good point, man. Blocking out noise and really focusing in again on who you are and trusting and believing, knowing who you are and having that be something that you stand by and you protect, right? Um, that goes into making great decisions, right? So one of the things I think one of the hardest things I've seen with our kids that we work with, Marcus, is trying to define their purpose, right? Their why. Why are you here? And obviously that's something that we fight through and go through as grown-ups, right? And trying to find out why are we here, what are we doing, and so when you identify yourself as being a husband, right, being a father, things are super important to you, and obviously being a teammate, being a world champion, being a player rep, all the wars that you've won. Um, how would you identify your purpose? Right, all the different hats that you wear, and then how do you balance that out?
Well, it's changed over the years. I think
Okay.
now my purpose is to make sure my children have a better life than I did. Right, that's my goal in life now. When I was younger, I think my purpose, was different. I think I was just trying to survive. We didn't grow up well off by any means. Survive, get a good education, get to college. That was my goal, was to be a Cal Bear, and it actually happened. I
All
think
right.
UC Berkeley was a place where both my parents went. They had me at a very young age. So, you talk about just how we navigated, or how my parents navigated that through their young life, and they graduated, and they set the example for me. That was
Right.
I wanted to be a college student and continue to get better and better at baseball. But now it's about making sure my children can be, even more successful.
No, that's fantastic, man. And I give, the family, mom and dad, all the props in the world. 'Cause again, I was right there with them at Berkeley. Understand the struggle, um, just to take care of you and to take care of themselves, right? And the sacrifice. And I heard you say that a lot. That you saw a lot in them as far as how hard they worked as being a model for you, and the things that you're doing as a father, as a husband, and as a professional baseball player, just seeing those good habits, from your family, from your parents, and manifesting that through you, right, and passing on to your kids, which I think that's the legacy element I love. When I hear your story and I see your story play out, a lot of folks don't give you credit for that, but I've seen it firsthand, so that's a beautiful thing to watch. Um, you know, would you say back then when you were younger that your purpose was playing baseball, or that's something that you did well and you had a greater purpose even when you were younger, coming through Cal, getting drafted by the White Sox? How did that kind of move into your purpose now?
Yeah, I think my baseball was my passion. I
Right.
played I played basketball as well. When I was at home, if the TV was on, it was probably baseball or basketball on. I
Mm.
love sports, even football. Just watching. That's what I wanted to do. I could run well. I could do some. I was coordinated, so it's just kind of like that's what I love to do. In terms of
Mm.
my purpose, if you asked me that as a young kid, I'd probably say, yeah, baseball. Baseball,
Right.
baseball.
Right.
But now answering that as an adult, it really wasn't my purpose. It was my passion. My purpose
Mhm.
was I wanted to be successful at something.
Right.
That was what I did. It doesn't have to be sports. Your passion could be something else. Your purpose could be being great at it.
Hmm.
That take being great at something takes time. It takes practice. It takes repetition every single day. Um, I've been trying to do the same thing my entire baseball career: hit the ball hard, get a base hit, score a run, catch the
Right.
ball, throw a guy out. I'm still trying to perfect that every single day, and I'll be
Right.
doing it until my career is over. It's one of those things that you will never perfect. So it
Mhm.
keeps me it drives me every single day because of that reason. And that could be for anything out there.
That's awesome. Well, want to wrap this up. I'm going to open it up for some Q&A from the kiddos here, and then have Marcus ask a couple questions. The ones we don't answer, we'll send that by way of the village, and that will go directly to Marcus's profile page in the village. So we'll keep this conversation going by way of Ethos Village. So at this point, if you guys want to go ahead and just chat your question into the chat function on navigation bar on the top right hand corner, go ahead and do so at this point. We'll read these questions out and then we'll ask Marcus to answer a couple questions before he heads on out. Okay, we got a couple coming in, Marcus, here. Hold on a sec.
All right.
So as these questions are coming in, I got a question real fast. So you guys play pretty much every day. Do you get, how many bats do you get a day in a game? Is one or two at bats a game, or how's that work?
Well, in Arizona, we usually
Huh.
get 2 to 3 at bats in the first couple weeks, and then as we
Okay.
get close to the season, our manager Bruce Bochy, he wants to see us get 4 or 5, and then once we get to the season,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping I get 4 or 5 a night because that means we're scoring a lot of runs.
Right. Right.
But last year I was able to do that a lot because we had a good offense.
Right.
We made it all the way to the end, so I
Right.
ended up 835 plate appearances, which is a new record. So that's something I'm
Wow.
proud of. Just to be able to.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm at the top right now.
I love that.
But I did make a lot of outs. It wasn't always hits, but that's the failure I'm talking about. Baseball, you get out more than you get hits.
Right. Right.
So, but you get a lot of chances, and that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. Okay, got a couple questions. Let's jump into it. How many years did it take for you to get to where you are in baseball?
Well, I started. If you start from the beginning, I started playing at 6 years old. I played in local baseball to about 12. I made it to a travel ball team, which for 2 years, 3 years, and then once I got into high school, as a freshman, I was fortunate enough to play varsity. I went to a fairly small school at St. Mary's. Mike also went to St. Mary's. Then I got into college. I spent 3 years at Cal. I got drafted as a junior,
Mm-hmm.
2011. And 2 years later, I was in the major leagues. And I've been in the major leagues from 2013 to now. So I'm going on my 11th season in the major leagues.
Fantastic. And who would you say is your favorite coach? And what was your favorite team you played on so far?
Favorite coach? I would probably say Ron Washington. And he was the manager when a lot of you guys were younger with the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
He led the Rangers to 2 World Series appearances. And he ended up getting let go shortly after that. And he got hired by the Oakland A's, who I used to play for as an infield coach. And
Mm-hmm.
he helped me become a good infielder. A lot of people doubted me when I was younger about my infield skills. And
Mm-hmm.
Ron Washington cleaned me up, helped me out tremendously just by putting in the time every single day. And now he's a manager again. He's 70. He is 71 years old, and he's just
Wow.
got a manager. So that just shows how much they believe in him, even at an older age.
Right. Right. And a lot of perseverance on his part too to stay with the course.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. What is your advice in staying true to your legacy? That's from Austin.
That's a good one.
It's a
I
good one.
think
Absolutely.
I touched on it a little bit before, um, but I would say remind yourself every single day, and so at some point in the day, about who you are and what's your purpose and what you bring to the table. What are
Mm-hmm.
your reminding yourself is, talking to yourself, self-talk, write it down. Those things are important. A lot of times we go about our day and we forget to reflect on, why are we here and what are we trying to do. So I try and take time. Nowadays, the 4 kids, a day can be, crazy, busy. But you have to find time for yourself to slow things down and recenter yourself.
Love it. Another question here from Emma. Let's just take a couple more questions. Um, how do you balance school and sports? So when you're at Cal or at St. Mary's, how did you balance that out with sports?
Yeah, that's something that all student athletes are still figuring out. I think
Right.
what I could tell a student athlete now is wake up a little earlier. A lot of times we want to sleep in, get our sleep, and then you miss a couple hours of the day where you could have been, doing something productive. I know,
Mhm.
on the weekends you want to sleep till 10 or 11, but as I've grown as a man and a player, I've started to wake up earlier. I make sure I get my workout in. The priorities you have throughout the day, you want to make sure you check them off the list. And if you need to get up earlier, that's a way to make sure you get your workouts in, your sports, and obviously your schoolwork.
Love it. All right. Two more questions and we'll wrap it up, Marcus. What would you tell a fourth or fifth grader that isn't quite sure about what their purpose is?
That's easy. I tell them you got plenty of time. I
Right.
would just say continue to stay focused. Try new things. Um, I think that fourth and fifth grade, there's so much more life to live, and there's a lot of people find things a little bit later.
Hmm.
But if you keep your same habits, like I talked about, if you continue to work hard and make sure you complete all your tasks you need to get done in the day, and make time for your work, you'll find something. Because as you get older and you get into school, sixth, seventh, eighth grade, even high school, you're gonna take classes that interest you even more. You say, "Oh wow," and the light bulb may go off.
Mm, love that. No, that's good. I like that. It just takes time. You got a lot of time to figure this out. So that's definitely right on point. What are your goals that you can set towards creating or getting to your ideal self? How would you set goals to get to your ideal self?
That's a good one. I think understanding yourself first, knowing
Hmm.
strengths, knowing your weaknesses. You still, I've always said, hey, I have strengths here, I have weaknesses here. I'm always gonna work on my strengths too. I'm not just
Hmm.
gonna go off and, hey, my math is not good, so I'm just gonna work on math. But wait a minute, I'm a good writer and reader. Why not
Hmm.
continue to build on what you are good at so that one day you'll know, hey, I'm getting really good at this English, this reading and writing, and my math
Hmm.
is coming up too. So just don't
Hmm.
forget about your strengths. Fine tune your weaknesses and continue to build on your strengths.
Love it. Last when we go out this door, um, basically want to know how do you block out the media when basically the media is everywhere around you? What's a way that you can just tune that out, block it out? This is on your phone. This is on your computer. How do you turn that off?
Well, you can turn off your phone. Literally,
Right.
uh, that's hard to do, but I think just hey, if you're on social media and somebody's talking bad about you, turn it off. Turn it off. It's not always the best thing. There are benefits, but if things are kind of spiraling and stuff doesn't seem right on there, I would I would delete the app for that day or whatever. But hey, I think that the media has their right to say whatever they want to say, but it's up to the person to let it affect them or not affect them.
That's
Um,
it. That's
you
it.
can find other hobbies too that aren't on those outlets. Reading, being outside, enjoying your family. Those things are the most important thing, not the media. So think about those things.
I love it, man. Well, Marcus, man, I appreciate it, man. Spending time with our kiddos. This is a lot of good work that we're doing just around self-development. You know, it's not taught in schools, and I think it's, to your point, it's the foundation of setting, great habits and trying to achieve the goals that are meant for you and understanding your purpose and your why. Um, so I do appreciate you taking the time, man, to do this for us. Um, definitely we're going to hook you up on the Ethos Village scenario. So as kids come in with different ideas and thoughts, you can take a look at what they're doing, the presentations that they build. So guys, look forward to hearing Marcus's comments on your legacy presentations that you upload into your profile page. He's definitely looking, he's watching. So any closing remarks or thoughts or ideas before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd say keep up the good work. I'm proud of everybody who's taking part in Ethos. Continue to listen to the people who come on. There's a lot of different little nuggets you can take from everybody. I'm an athlete. I'm a professional athlete. There are a lot of professionals out there in the world that are experts in their field,
Right.
that you can pick from. I talked about the word habits a lot, right? I think about, I dig deeper into that word habits, and just think about your day to day. If you do great on your day to day, you're gonna look back in years and say, okay, I've grown here. But just focus on one day at a time, one thing at a time, before getting too far in front of yourself.
Awesome, man. All right, brother, man. I'm proud of you, man. You're doing your thing. You got the clean goatee. You look looking nice. All right, brother, man. We'll talk soon, and love you much, man.
All right. See you guys soon.
All right, later.